Now we're at 28,000 students. And if you look forward, in 5 years, we're going to be hitting that 35,000 student mark.
In Comal ISD, a big bond hopes to accommodate some big growth. 3 bond proposals in the district total $634 million.
Just on the north side of our district, on I-35, 6,000 new homes. There's 70 active developments in Comal ISD right now.
New schools, improved athletic facilities, technology upgrades, safety and security. It's all included.
We're going to put in an emergency operations center that will allow us to monitor those door sensors, allow us to monitor our cameras from a central location.
Rapid growth is the challenge in Comal ISD, while age is the issue in Alamo Heights ISD.
All that money that we raise through bonds stays within Alamo Heights. And we put it to use as far as our buildings go.
This district's $371 million bond package also comes in 3 parts. It includes renovations to every campus, most of which date back to the 1950s, plus upgrades to athletic facilities, technology, and security. Think of a school bond like a home loan.
You look at it like you're buying a house. You get pre-approved for so much money to buy a house.
And voters like you decide whether to give a school district that pre-approval to take out a loan.
Most of us, if we were just to write a check out of our checking account, we don't have the money to buy a house just by simply writing a check. It's something that we have to finance, and school districts are in the same position.
Texas public schools are funded by state and local dollars. Local funding comes from property taxes. On your tax bill, you'll see the tax rate for the district you live in. That rate is made up of 2 parts that get poured into 2 buckets. One is maintenance and operations. Think day-to-day expenses, not unlike your own budget. Money for things like utilities, fuel, and people.
81% of our budget is for salaries.
The other bucket is what's called interest and sinking. I promise this is not a finance seminar.
Nobody has to understand interest and sinking. All you have to understand is that's the funds used to pay off debt.
When voters approve a school bond, that's what they're signing off on, allowing the district to take on that debt to make big projects happen. Once voters say yes to a school district's plan, the district sells bonds to get the money.
You basically hire a banker who goes out to usually the institutional market, the big mutual fund companies, Vanguard and Fidelity. You've got other institutional investors who are interested in school district bonds because it's treated under the tax law as a municipal bond, like a city or a county bond, and there are very clearly tax advantages to owning that kind of bond.
The district sells the bonds, investors pay them for those bonds, and then this bucket of money is used to pay off the interest.
It's to pay off the interest and the principal that's incurred, just exactly like a mortgage. If you went out today and got a mortgage, you'd get one at what, 6.25%, 6.5%, something like that. Pretty high compared to what we're used to. But in 3 years, if that is 4.5%, then as a homeowner, you'd be better off refinancing that mortgage, right? The exact same thing can happen with bonds.
The state has a tool to help school districts get better interest rates, which keeps more money in that bucket. It's called the Texas Permanent School Fund, and it's been around a long time, since 1845. The Permanent School Fund was endowed with land in the 1876 Texas Constitution. To this day, mineral rights from millions of acres of land in Texas and 10 miles out into the Gulf of Mexico pour money into this fund. One purpose of the money is to guarantee school bonds.
Because the fund is so massive, hundreds of billions of dollars, that you would get as a school district at a AAA rating, right? The top rating when you go out to sell.
That means a lower interest rate that districts have to pay. But there's a problem. That fund is about to hit its limit. The IRS says Texas can guarantee roughly $117 billion in bonds. Texas schools have already applied for about $111 billion in voter-approved bonds. That does not include what's on the May ballot. Those bonds total $24 billion. So what gets approved in May not be backed by the state if the IRS doesn't raise that limit.
So what will happen very soon is that folks who are going out to the market to sell bonds will sell them at the district or the charter, their underlying rating, which in very few cases is a AAA rating. And the lower it is, the higher the rate that district's going to pay, and that's going to translate to local taxpayers.
Speaking of translation, there's a bit of translation when it comes to the wording on the ballot, especially this last line that says, "This is a property tax increase." Sounds straightforward, but it's not. The state recently began requiring that line, whether what you pay actually increases or not. Here's why. Remember those two buckets? Bonds can make this portion of a district's tax rate go up, but this rate fluctuates too and could go down. So that may not actually increase the total tax rate.
In which case, if that concerns you, you need to call your elected official.
It's what's happening in Comal and Alamo Heights ISDs this election. The ballot says each of its proposals is a property tax increase. But ask Alamo Heights.
So we actually project our total tax rate will be less than it is today, but the INS rate will be more than it is today.
Because the rate for that maintenance and operations bucket is projected to go down. Following the money can be complicated, but without bonds, these major school projects, they would be impossible.
We would not have the funds in our maintenance and operation budget to be able to do these projects.
You essentially wouldn't be able to operate. You'd be bankrupt.
Welcome to our election night coverage. I'm Steve Spriester, live from the KSAT 12 newsroom. Thank you very much for joining us. Hope you voted. The polls are now closed, and we're going to talk about the mayor's race, Proposition A, and all of the city council races tonight. Get you up to date on the latest numbers, and of course, we're going to take you live to some of the campaigns around the city. Want to introduce our power panel right now. You probably know him if you're familiar with this, with this particular broadcast that we do every election night. I'm going to start aptly on the right side of the screen with Kevin Wolf. Kevin, thank you for joining us. Molly Cox is with us, and DeMonte Alexander. All right, so what are you guys looking forward to tonight? What is the number one thing on the ballot that you guys are curious about? Molly, I'll start with you.
Prop A.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Prop A. Yeah, I think Prop A is the thing that, when you're looking at the money poured into this specific election, more than half of the dollars are coming around that proposition. Yeah. I think that's what's bringing people out to vote. I think the undervote on this, like people are coming had no concept that it was even a municipal election because $2 million, right, is around Prop A. So that's what you're hearing about the most.
Do you think it'll be close?
I don't know if it'll be as close as it was in 2021.
Right, with
because it's a vast
Prop
B
right.
around, and different, but similar, right? In that all around justice, but I do think that there's a space around. Yeah, I think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, and that's curious to me.
2021 wasn't that long ago, but it seems like Prop B was a long time ago, and at least going into that election day, we had some numbers to look at. We knew it was going to be close. There are a lot of races tonight that we don't really have a feel for, DeMonte.
Mm-hmm. Right. I think District 1, right? That's. Yep. I think you have to think that's up in the air. District 2 has a lot of candidates. Historically, there's been a lot of candidates, so that's definitely going to go to runoff. And I think the other ones are the incumbents kind of have a stronghold in those. You don't see this instability in some of those 10, 9, 8. Well, 7 hasn't changed, but I think you're going to start seeing some stability there as well.
So. Well, there's not always a lot of stability being the incumbent in District 2 either. I mean, they haven't reelected an incumbent in 10 years.
For District 2 and for Jalen, this will be, if he does win, this will be a good step for District 2 in terms of consistency. We talk about the historic divestment in District 2. A big part of that is the succession planning, but also there's no consistency at leadership, right? And so now Jalen will get to go into his second term building on what he started on the first term. So that's definitely a positive for District 2. I don't think there's anyone in that race strong enough to beat Jalen. But unfortunately, I think because of the sheer number of candidates, he goes to a runoff.
It's weird when you have a mayor on the ballot and all the city councilmen, probably the biggest issue is Prop A. Do you think it'll be a close vote?
Based off of what I'm seeing as far as money raised, I don't think it'll be close. I think when we had Prop B, I think they were on message. I just think they got the message out a little bit late in terms of accountability, which I think we'll expand on this later. I think we're far from the accountability conversation right now, and we're talking about something different. It takes a long time to educate people on what this is. Plus, I feel like they should have separated these ballot initiatives. Let people decide on their own what they feel is important to them instead of forcing people to vote for things they probably don't have a taste for, which is why you see the police union. I mean, this is all about narratives, right? They were able to take one little piece out of there and make everyone think that's what this is all about, right? This is about crime. This is about, police not being able to arrest criminals. They control the narrative of this.
Well, it was an interesting, and Kevin, let me bring you into this conversation. It was an interesting alliance there between the police union and the business community. Those are two groups you don't usually see aligned, but they were brought together by Prop A.
They were, and it's funny because I agree with a number of things that both of these folks have said today. It was about the narrative.
Yeah.
Okay, well, the narrative began before the business community got in, before the unions got in. The narrative began about decriminalized marijuana and abortion.
Right. Yes.
Okay, so you led with the strongest. Okay, don't blame the other guys for leading with their strongest.
Right.
Okay, we can get into the argument of, okay, how much is BS and how much is real, but all that aside, the thing that I take away from this, yes, this is all about a Prop A election, which is really kind of sad when we're electing council people and a mayor.
It is, but as long as it gets people to the polls, I don't really care.
Now, wait a minute, though. So what is Prop A about? Prop A is about a number of different things. Got a long laundry list. There's hardly anything in there that a city council has the power to do anything about.
Correct. Yes.
This is a city council election.
But this isn't coming from the city council. This isn't a proposition that's coming from the city council. Molly, go.
It's a bit,
Yeah. I can tell it well already. Yeah.
like, let's be very
I knew.
clear.
I thought I put her between you and DeMonte because I thought you guys needed to be separated. Now I'm going to have to put DeMonte between you and Ken. And we're what? We're 5 minutes in and this has already started.
It's already going.
Okay.
It's already going. I would say, hey, I get it. This is definitely, I agreed that Prop A has sort of overtaken the fact that we're literally electing every human being who makes decisions on a $4 billion budget of our tax dollars. Separate from that, to say that it is not a local issue, that it's only statewide, takes away the power local government has to influence state policy, and it also takes away the fact that basically 5 of these things out of the 6 on the ballot are all being done in some capacity in our city already. Right? The Bexar County DA has said, I wouldn't touch abortion at all. I'm not arresting or prosecuting anybody for that. The marijuana up to 4 ounces is already being cited and released. Cite and release already exists and has existed since 2019. The only thing that they're adding is the $2,500 in graffiti. The
$750 in shoplifting.
That was already there.
It was.
It was already on it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm like, that's what I'm saying. When you got $2 million framing, and they're allowed to sort of, it's true, pick out something.
I think in a way you're making my argument for me. Okay?
Well,
think about this for a second. They were already enacted.
Right.
What does having an election have to do with that? Okay, does it advertise the importance of those issues outside of the city of San Antonio? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, maybe so.
You're right.
All right, but that is not what our council is elected to do.
Well, but it does codify it, right? So if the chief decides to leave, or if the mayor goes away, or if the DA is changed, then it's codified in a document that doesn't allow leadership to sort of make it up as it goes.
And I think that's what Ananda is pushing hard here for, right? Leadership changes, right?
Right.
Policy can change on a dime, but if you get that codified, you get
and
it.
That's
as
been
a
her
law.
argument through this whole thing. It's like
right.
Now we're fine.
Right.
How about 10 years from now?
Exactly. And I think that's her point. And that's her argument.
So give me numbers tonight. What are you looking for as far as for and against when it comes to Prop A? If you had to make a prediction. Polls are closed. We can make predictions.
I mean,
now.
the only data I have to go off of right now is just the sheer
money.
Money.
Yeah.
Right. And I would say 60-40.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Against?
Yes.
Yeah. Molly?
Man, I don't know. Numbers, I know I'm
I know
a
you don't
nerd,
like doing the
but
predictions.
It's too hard.
You like looking at the money, that kind of thing. You don't like
you wanna
making
see my
predictions.
spreadsheet?
You would think I would know this by now. You would think I would know that, but
yeah.
yet I still ask you.
I know, and I'm like, I don't know.
Well,
Do you think it'll be close?
I think it will be closer than 60-40,
Okay,
for
that's
sure.
That's fair. That's
Yeah.
fair. I mean, even last year, we felt like it was going to be close. We called it close. It was close because you could see throughout the campaign, like the different chess moves, and you could see the money, and you can see it was going to be close.
We also
Maybe
had
there's something
polling though that told us it was going to be close, and we did a forum that a lot of people watched. There was a lot of interest in Prop B, and I think both sides were a little, maybe I'm wrong, a little more fired up for Prop B.
Y'all, I truly say this, that $2 million in media blitzes is a lot of money for a
Yes.
local election.
Yes.
It's more than double what was spent in 2021 because all of that money's in Prop A.
Yeah.
So I'm like, hey, I think the difference is that this one, I think it's a ground game versus cash.
Yes.
Yes.
And getting a ground game of getting newer voters out is much harder to overcome that $2 million.
True. Yeah.
Kevin, your prediction on Prop A.
So, while I'd personally like to see it 60-40, I think it's going to be 55-45.
Interesting.
I think it's going to be a little closer than anticipated because really, if you strip away the individual pieces, there are things that sing to voters in there. Whether it's the decriminalization of marijuana, whether it's the abortion issue, those types of that sings to a number of Bexar County voters, and so that's why I think it'll be closer. I think a number of folks will see through this big paragraph,
Right. Yes. Yeah.
and remember that kind of stuff. But we'll see.
No, same here. I want it to be closer than that, but it's just similar to what we were talking about
When
the
you look
governor's
at the
race,
numbers,
right? You just look at the things. But for me, and I'm going to be real about this, I really wish we would take this argument back to what it should be, because we really talk about this. This is about holding people accountable, man. Right, and I wish we would get back there, because when we polled that,
Holding people accountable or holding police accountable?
let's just say just accountability in general across the board, right?
Okay.
When we polled that, you saw the numbers where
Yeah.
everybody from Democrats, Republicans, black, white, Asian, indifferent, everybody can agree on that.
Yeah.
Right? And so the further we get away
Nothing
from
yet.
that, it gets murky.
Yeah. All right, so we actually have a live shot that we're ready to go to right now as we wait for the first numbers to come in.
Fancy.
Our Patty Santos joins us live from the Ron Nirenberg camp tonight, where I guess I don't think it's going out on a limb that they're at the friendly spot and they're expecting a victory tonight. Patty Santos joins us live. Patty.
You know what? Everyone seems in a really good mood, and it's just that throughout this campaign, it just has felt like, it might go his way. But again, we're just closing the polls right now, so we'll find out in a little bit. But this is what the crowd looks like out here. There's really no one that's really nervous about what the outcome might be tonight. A lot of people that have met Mayor Ron Nirenberg throughout the years are just here. They don't really know him. They just bumped into him, and they just happen to know him. They call him a friendly guy, and they've decided to come out and be at his watch party. But also, we have to tell you, we know we're going to hear from him, hopefully here in about an hour or so, because I was told at 8 o'clock there is a fight. So he's got to wrap that up for that fight. But we're going to stay here. We're going to bring you more. And Ron hasn't arrived yet, so hopefully as soon as he gets here, we'll let you know. We'll send it back to you for right now.
Yeah, that was my question for you, Patty. Have you seen the mayor yet? So we'll try and check in with you a little bit later in this live stream. Patty Santos, live from the friendly spot. Thank you, Patty. All right, so that actually transitions into my next question for the power panel. What does Ron Nirenberg have to do tonight? I mean, obviously win, obviously not go to a runoff, but are we talking 60% of the vote, 65% of the vote? I mean, there are a lot of candidates. But
75 plus.
You think 75 plus?
I agree with Kevin. I mean, there's not anybody really contending him in this race. You want to see that 75, 80%.
So if it's less than that,
well, I think you have to look at, now he did make a public statement about Prop A, right? And so, right, wrong, or indifferent, some people may be in their feelings about that, right? And so you may see, to Molly's point, I want to see those undervotes and see what those undervotes look like. that would be very telling.
And explain what undervotes are. They would vote for Prop A and not vote for the mayor's race.
Yes, you go in and you are allowed to vote in 3 different races: a council race, the Prop A, and mayor. And you only vote for Prop A. You get an undervote on your district race and your mayor's race.
Right. So, do you think they've given their predictions on what the mayor needs to do? I was saying, because there's so many, I was thinking 65 plus is what he needs to do tonight. But 70, 75. I mean, I could make a case that he needs to be impressive tonight because there's no formidable candidate that's running against him.
I agree. I think I don't know. I'm like, yes, 65 plus. Like, he got what, 60 with 20 in 2021 in his rematch to Brockhouse, right? So I'm like, oh, he should be way over that.
Way over that.
Way over that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it at least shows where he might be next, right?
All right, I'm hearing that we have some numbers that are in. Landon, are we getting any numbers that we can show up on the graphic yet?
75-25.
Nope, not yet. Okay, the numbers just coming in. We're going to put them on graphic and kind of let you know right now what we're talking about. But are you surprised? I mean, obviously Brockhouse has run against him twice. Are you surprised nobody else stepped up to run against the mayor?
No, it's last term limited out.
Yeah.
Okay.
At this point, unless you're somebody who know you're going to lose, you want to step in there, get your name ID out there, let people know who you are, and then you jump into the open seat race. I mean, other than that, there's no reason to do that.
So before this live stream is over, I want to look ahead to 2 years from now and who we'll see on the ballot and where Ron Nirenberg will be looking. So I want to talk about that. But again, we know that there are some numbers that are in. Molly, give us the numbers that you've seen right there since we're waiting for the graphic.
We just scrolled immediately down to Prop A. So we're looking at early voting numbers coming in. It's a 74-26 split right now. Against.
Yeah.
That's huge.
I said 65-35.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Did you? Did you say it?
Did you?
I didn't hear him.
I didn't hear
I
it.
didn't hear him.
What did I say?
didn't hear him.
What did I say, Steve?
I
I
said
appreciate that
65-35.
everybody's like, when did
I
that
thought
occur?
it was Molly that said
Where's
that.
Cole?
I think I'm the only
David
one who can say it's
David Abanius. What did I say for Prop A? 65-35. Thank you. David Abanius, right there. Colton, what did I say? 65-35. See, I've got 2 people right there.
Steve does not sign your check, okay?
I'm just saying.
Thank you, guys.
I think Colton has me saying 60-40.
Beer's on me later. Okay, so, but anyway, I'm
that's
surprised it's that. I mean, I thought I was going
That's-
out on a limb with 65-35.
I agree. I think that I'm like, wow. Okay.
But early voting,
It does. We have seen
Am I
it.
not sitting here?
I know you said it. You did say 60-40.
You did say,
I'm
yes.
truly am shocked by this, and I think mostly I am mostly shocked because it felt like early voting was heavy early conservative, older white men voting.
Yes.
So that doesn't shock me.
I resemble
early. Hi. Some folks are voting early. I'm just saying, and then it started to see a swap out as we got later in the
Yes.
thing. So maybe today we'll see a shift.
But I think-
not a. I mean,
You don't
we
see
might
that.
see 40,000 votes today.
but if you're spending $2 million
I agree
and
with
you
you.
only get 55% of the vote,
Oh,
that
no, that's
tells
right.
you that what would have happened if there wasn't $2 million in here.
Exactly.
So
Yes.
that's why I
Exactly.
thought it would be a bigger split than that because it's just been so much of a media blitz
yes.
against Prop A.
Yeah, I think there's been folks who are like, hey, you are like spending so much time on that money, and I'm like, oh, for folks who are nerdy city politics peeps, $2 million is
like the
so,
four of us here.
so much money.
I will also throw something out there. It could be how influential Ron is. Ron didn't make a statement last year,
Right.
and it was close.
Yeah. Yes.
He came out in support, and all those folks that rally around Ron, this could be that pushover as well.
All right, I'm hearing them oohing and
Sorry,
ahhing over
we
here,
were looking
so-
at District 1.
Yes.
So it looks like Sukkor is at 32% of early vote. Mario Bravo is at 26%, and Jeremy Roberts is at 23%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so that's close because I mean the headline in that is if Bravo doesn't make the runoff.
Right.
But that's a top 3 that only 2 are going to come out of that.
That's
Somebody's
right.
going to be very disappointed
Well,
with
I
those
think,
numbers.
I think we were thinking it's going to be. We knew Bravo was going to go into a runoff.
Right.
Because they're raising too much money, they've got
Yes.
too much ground game.
Right.
And we both thought Sook. I think we all talked about Sook Core being the person who would go into the runoff, and she's right now an early vote. She's got the lead.
I think if Sook makes a runoff, she wins.
You think so?
I think so. And somebody asked me that
I
before I got here.
appreciate that. Okay.
Somebody asked me if Sook. They said who makes the runoff, and I said Sook and Mario.
Yeah.
Right. Now, I understand who Jeremy's got on his team. He's got some like the top talent working for him in the team, so you can't throw him out. But if Sook makes the runoff,
You can do it without a runoff.
you gotta take her because everyone else who's running is running because of a dislike of Mario, right?
Yeah.
So you gotta take Sook. I mean, if you're gonna vote for somebody, I'm gonna vote for the challenger because I mean.
Well,
that
those numbers show a formidable anti-Bravo
Yes.
vote, which I think a
Right.
lot of people had questions about whether
Yeah.
that was going to show up, or
Right.
whether enough time had passed
Right.
over the comments that he made to
Yeah.
fellow councilman Anna Sandoval.
I think if you look right, if you take a look at this thing, look at where Jeremy's voters are going to go if he doesn't make the runoff. Jeremy is running because of obviously he doesn't believe in the policies or how Mario's leading the district, right?
Yeah.
People will his followers are going to tend to lean to sort of somebody who feels the same way. That would be Sook.
All right, give me District 2 because we've got Dylan
I'm-
Collier who's ready to go
I'm
live
looking,
for us.
yeah, I'm looking here at District 2, and Jalen has got 58% of the vote.
I stand
That's
corrected on that one.
I'm like,
stand
hey,
corrected on that one.
that's a hard pull.
That big coming out of early vote,
Right.
he
Yeah.
takes it without a runoff.
Yeah, I don't know
Let's-
how he wouldn't get it.
Let's go out to our Dylan Collier right now. I believe is standing by at the Jalen McKee Rodriguez campaign. Dylan, can you hear us?
Mark White's at like 64.
Steve. All right. There we go. Dylan, Steve Spriester here in the studio. Can you hear us out there? The early numbers have Jalen McKee Rodriguez at like 58% of the vote. Is that trickling through out there?
It is. There were loud cheers probably about 5 minutes ago when the folks out here saw the results for the first time. And we're actually joined by Councilman Jalen McKee Rodriguez. And Councilman, just your initial thoughts. A lot of people said that you would be the front runner, but probably would go to a runoff. That, based on the early voting, is not going to be the case. Just your thoughts on the turnout.
I'm overwhelmed and excited. We were ready either way. We've been working very hard, not just during the campaign, but over the past year and a half, almost 2 years now, reaching our residents and building relationships, and it showed today, so I'm so proud.
You are a polarizing figure, but you lean into that, and I think you have no problems being polarizing and are okay with maybe not seeing eye to eye with every single person in your district or across the city. Why has that been your approach? And I think tonight maybe we're seeing that was the right approach to take.
I think overall, I'm a very relationship-oriented person. I believe I can see eye to eye with any person on something. And I've leaned into that more so than the opposite, but of course it's fun to be a little spicy, and people expect authenticity. I've been very honest from the jump, from the very first time I decided I was going to run, on who I am and what I was going to do, and I think that meant more to a lot of people than being someone who's the standard typical politician.
Now, you're very young. You were young when you first won. You still are young. So the energy isn't an issue. Is there still a passion to do this work? And in your eyes, are you still just, getting started with what you hope to accomplish?
Absolutely. It's a travesty that District 2 hasn't had a consistency and that we haven't seen someone go the full 8 years. And so my intention is to do that. My intention is to see through a number of the things that we set the foundation for this past term. And I have the energy, the passion, the commitment to carry it all the way through, and that might mean another bond.
If these results hold tonight, you'll be the first council person to win re-election in District 2 in a decade. We have to go back to the days of councilperson, councilwoman, and then Mayor Ivy Taylor. What will the next 2 years in office look like for you?
I think we were very ambitious this first term, and we filed a lot of policy proposals. We laid the groundwork through the past 2 budget cycles, and so I think what we'll see is follow through on a number of my council consideration requests, including the insulin cost share program, the food access master plan, our focus on crime prevention, and then some of those, a lot of that infrastructure work that we laid the groundwork for as well.
Well, congratulations on the early voting results, and we'll be with you tonight as you watch the rest come in.
Thank you so much. I'm excited.
District 2 Councilman Jalen McKee Rodriguez, again, close to 58% of the vote after the early voting totals came in, puts himself in a very good position to not only avoid a runoff, but get another 2 years here on the east side of San Antonio. Steve?
You know, Dylan, I'm surprised by that because I really thought that we were going to see, with 10 candidates running, that just the percentages were that he wouldn't get to 50%. So he's got to be very happy with that.
He is ecstatic. The whole crowd here erupted in cheers when the numbers first came out, and now it's just a matter over the next couple of hours whether he can hold on, and barring some sort of late charge by one of these other, I guess, 4 other candidates you could consider that had actually spent money and were getting a somewhat significant portion of the vote. One of them would really have to move forward and bring him down.
Dylan Collier live from the Jalen McKee Rodriguez Very Happy campaign party tonight. Dylan, thank you. All right, we've all been talking about Prop A all night, and at last check, 70% plus of the vote was 75% against Proposition A. Danny Diaz with the San Antonio Police Officers Association has been key in the anti-Prop A movement. Danny joins us live now via Zoom. Danny, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Steve. Can you hear me fine?
Yeah, I hear you great. So give me your reaction to what you're seeing right now.
Wow, it's impressive. The community stood by us and gave us the opportunity to give them facts and educating them on what this proposition was actually about. One of the main things that I see, it's given us the opportunity to touch base and work together with all facets, right? This wasn't a party issue. This was a community issue. But the work doesn't stop tonight. The work continues so that we get out in the community, that they understand what we're doing as police officers for them to make sure that they are safe. And we have to work in conjunction with them, listen to what they have to say also. It's a big task, but we're ready for that workload.
All right, so we talked 2 years ago, and I asked you if you were surprised with how close Prop B was. So now I want to know if you're surprised with the 75% against Prop A. I mean, is that a pleasant surprise tonight?
It is a pleasant surprise. If you remember correctly, last time with Prop B, I knew we had a lot of work to do. This time around, a little different game plan of making sure that not only the citizens but the business community knew how this was going to affect them. And bottom line, if you look at the history of what's going on across the country, other states, and even up in Austin, I know I've been saying that for quite a while, but that's not San Antonio. That's not what San Antonio needs to look like. And I think the community understood, and they're ready to work together by this vote and how they came out strong, ready to work together to make sure that doesn't happen here.
It's interesting, and I talked about it earlier, you don't usually think of the business community and the San Antonio Police Officers Association necessarily as allies all the time. So for you guys to come together on this, do you see it as an unusual alliance as much as maybe I do?
Well, the thing is this, Steve, is that I knew from the beginning that when I started two and a half years ago, I went to the chambers and explained to them what my goals were. There needed to be a change of tone, right? And we can't do anything when we're constantly arguing. We needed to sit and talk and have a dialogue. And when we have that dialogue, there's going to be times we'll agree to disagree. But bottom line, we're here for the business community to make sure that they thrive also in keeping them safe. Same thing with the citizens of San Antonio. It's a joint venture, the way I see it, and I'm going to continue working that way.
Absolutely. All right, I'm going to let the panel ask you some questions here. I think that they can hear you. Kevin Wolf, you go first.
Danny, I'll say congratulations to you right off the bat. You've already said you're happy with the spread there. I just think it's pretty amazing because there were numbers before, just as short as 4 or 5 weeks ago, where it showed Prop A passing with 54%. You guys, along with the business community, you ran a heck of a campaign turning that around. What do you attribute that to?
Well, first things first, right, is I want to thank everyone for giving me the opportunity to speak to them. There weren't doors that were closed or shut in my face at any point, right? They gave me the opportunity to explain where we were coming from and misleading tactics or whatever they thought it was, right? They gave me the opportunity for that explanation. And with that, you open up a dialogue, and we will work with anybody. And I thought that they saw that the San Antonio Police Officers Association was true in the sense that we're ready to work with not only our community, but our businesses. Look, we have to thrive, right? That's the only way this city can go. We're not here as a detriment. We're here to make sure that the safety of this community works throughout. And so I'm very appreciative of the businesses, the citizens that gave me the opportunity to speak and give them our side of it.
Molly Cox?
Yeah, I'm interested in the fact that as we're watching the rest of the election come in, we're seeing in District 1, Sukor, who came out for Prop A. We're seeing Jalen in District 2 is ahead in 4, and we saw Terry is 4. So I'm also interested in how that's playing out versus the fact that we saw Against come out so hard. And is that what does that mean then for dialogue moving forward, I think, as far as the police union is concerned and the new potential council members or returning council members who were for?
Well, from the very beginning, I reached out to every single council member. The only ones at the time that refused to speak to us over the last 2 years were districts 1, 2, and 5. Since then, we have had a dialogue with Councilwoman Terry Castillo. I had a conversation or two with Councilman Bravo, and non-existent in District 2. But that didn't stop us because we continuously go into those districts and talk to the community. If the council person doesn't want to hear us, their constituents do. And that's the work that needs to be done. So I will continue to work towards mending those relationships with any councilwoman, councilman that feels that we're wrong. All we're asking for is an open door policy and have that dialogue and communication.
DeMonte.
Hey, Danny. Congratulations on you guys. You and I have talked quite a bit in the past few weeks or so just around this topic. You mentioned that the work is going to continue. Could you elaborate more on what that means?
Yeah, so, and I think it was mentioned earlier, and if I'm wrong, my apologies, but there's still groups out there that feel that San Antonio Police Department either just cares about themselves and their contracts instead of the community that we serve. There's still individuals out there that feel that things that have happened, transpired across the country happen here, and that's far from the truth. Have the things that have happened here, absolutely, but we do our due diligence to police ourselves. So as far as the work going forward, when I first started on this department, I was able to sit and talk to individuals once I made a call for 10, 15 minutes. Currently, we're not able to do that because we're short-staffed, and the study that the city did has proven that on patrol. The only way I know how to get that dialogue and communication back with the citizens is through the association and through our nonprofit. If the citizens love their safe officers, well, they do, because those are the only ones that they have one-on-one contact with. If we continue to reach out and have that one-on-one contact with the community and help them with their needs through our nonprofit, we've helped kids with clothes, haircuts before school starts, backpacks with their school supplies, putting out our scholarship fund and giving scholarships to kids. And then in Blue Santa, during Christmas time, we were able to get gifts for 2,300 kids this past year. Those are the things that we need to continue and enhance, and that's how we see it. 80% of our officers are homegrown. We don't plan on going anywhere. Our kids live here. So we want this community to thrive, and that's where we're going to continue to push and then make sure that they see we are here to help also.
Do you expect more propositions down the line, Danny? Do you expect that we're going to see more calls for, for lack of a better word, police accountability and things like that?
Well, at one of the debates, it was mentioned that they could come back every 2 years, and it was said from Act for SA side. From our standpoint, is this: look, we'll just have to adjust and do what we need to do at that point. This time around, officers gave up their own money to make sure that we had the means of combating this in our observation frivolous proposition that was not good for this community. We'll see where we have to go from there. But we'll give me some time to rest, Steve. And then
I know. I'm already like hitting you with what happens 2 years from now, and you're not even done with tonight. But DeMonte had another question here, real quick.
So Danny,
sure.
I would think to believe that because of the influence the mayor has, and because of his support, that you guys are seeing the spread and difference in turnout. Why do you think you were able to convince him this time? What were you able to do this time that you weren't able to do in 2021?
Well, this time around, we had the opportunity to sit and talk. When I got elected, or when I was elected 2 years ago, we came into office February 1st, and we were immediately in that fight, and we were in contract talk. I reached out to then President Richard Perez of the Greater Chamber of Commerce, to the mayor, to the chief, to the city managers, and letting them know that, hey, I'm here to work with you, not against you. And in some issues, of course, we're going to have to agree to disagree, but we're not going to accomplish anything when we're constantly fighting. And I've shown to them that I am able to work with the chief, able to work with the city managers, and I think that showed the mayor that he could trust in what we were saying. I understood that it was going to take some time for them to trust me because of the way things were prior to me becoming president of this organization, and I'm still working hard and will continue to work hard to keep that trust. And that's the way I see it, DeMonte. If it's something different, then I sure would like to know so I can keep working on it. But I'm just being truthful and being straightforward and coming with the truth and the facts and not misleading in any way.
Always appreciate that about you, Danny. Hey, where are you at right now? Are you at the party for tonight?
Yes, we're actually at a Hua's restaurant out here on Heber Road. That's where we're at.
All right, I'm going to let you get off this Zoom, get off this live stream with us. Have fun tonight, and I know you've been everywhere over the last few weeks, so get some rest.
I'm going to try, Steve. I'm not going to lie. I'm exhausted, but we'll see how it goes from there. But thank you all very much. Steve, thank you for everything, and for everybody on that panel. Thank you for your time and for having me.
All right, Danny, take care. Danny
Right,
Diaz,
bye-bye.
the president of the San Antonio Police Officers Association. We talked about the fact they had a partnership with the business community. The San Antonio Safe Political Action Committee put out a press release moments ago. The co-chairs Eddie Alderete and April Ann Syria, quote, San Antonio voters made the right call. Prop 8 sought to enshrine in our city charter the exact sorts of measures that brought disastrous consequences to cities like San Francisco, Portland, and Austin. The defeat of Prop 8 is a victory for local families, for local businesses, and or our quality of life. I'll end it there. But that's, I mean, they're basically taking a victory lap right now.
Yeah.
And I know that the and Anna Thomas and her group have conceded that they're not going to win tonight.
Yeah.
I know that we're working on getting that Zoom up with Ananda, I hope, momentarily. Do we have Ananda right now? Ananda, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. How are you?
We're doing good. We're tired, but we know that we put in a big effort and feeling really good about the conversations we had with San Antonio.
$2 million is basically what you guys were up against. Was that just too big of a hill to climb, or was it that plus the mayor, coming out against Prop A, or was it all of the above? Is there one factor that you think led to tonight's defeat?
Yeah, I think it's the lies and the misinformation that were put out there, backed by over $2 million. We're grassroots organizers that are in the community talking to folks, but we know that at the end of the day, right, in the long run, in the long road, the people will always win over big moneyed interest. We had thousands and thousands of conversations with folks who are trying to find real solutions to public safety and how to have equity and civil rights in the community, and they know that this is the path to doing that.
And I know you and I have talked before that you felt that what Prop A was trying to get is at accountability and making a statement when it comes to abortion rights and when it comes to marijuana. I'm not misstating that, am I?
I mean, it's about more than that, right? It's about what does true safety and equity look like for everybody in this community? What does true public safety look like? And protecting civil rights. It's about the next step in the movement and transformation of our society. And talking to folks about finding real solutions that are more than just over policing our most marginalized in our community.
Are you disappointed? I mean, is disappointment too tame a word or too strong a word?
No, I'm actually just really proud of our team, of all the hard work we put in. I don't think, at the end of the day when we started this, that we expected for the whole establishment to come out against us for their own political interest. But we know that fighting for civil rights is an uphill battle in our community. We're going to keep working on this, we're going to keep fighting for civil rights and equity and true safety. And whether it's 1 year, 5 years, 10 years down the road, that we will win to beat out lies and misinformation and inequity in our community.
I think that, you knew that you would have to take on the business community. You knew that you would have to take on the Police Officers Association. I don't think you expected to have to take on the mayor on this issue as well. How big a blow, how big a disappointment was that in this whole campaign?
It is disappointing to see that our elected leaders are not with us. But at the end of the day, we know that the people are always ahead of elected officials. We legislate ourselves. We drive the policies that we want to see. And so it's not surprising that, that they weren't ready to take a bold step and to stand up for the rights of so many in our community. When this has been a historical thing. So we just know that we have to keep fighting, and eventually we'll have the elected officials that will be on the side of everybody in the community and not just big moneyed interest.
That leads me to my next question. Does this effort stop tonight?
Absolutely not. We're obviously going to take a little bit of a break.
Yeah, I bet.
Hard. But no, we're going to always continue to find solutions that are based on compassion and centered on care and evidence-based solutions that we know are already helping our community and can continue to free us and uplift us all. So we'll be gone for a few days resting, but we will be back, absolutely, and people can count on that.
All right, I want to open it up to our power panel now. Molly Cox has a question for you, Ananda.
I'm going to go with the same question I gave to Danny. So what you're seeing in the election of city council members, right? You have Stuckcore leading in District 1, came out for Prop A. District 2, Jalen, with like 107 candidates against him, is going to go straight into winning for Prop A. Terry Castillo, 61% of the vote for Prop A. So there's clearly some momentum, at least on the dais, behind the policies that you are bringing forward with Prop A. Does that, what does that give you as far as like what your next step is?
Yeah, absolutely. That gives us hope and a pathway, right? That people are electing the candidates that care about the issues that matter most to them. Everybody loves somebody who's needed reproductive health care or needed an abortion, the same way that we all know and love somebody affected by mass incarceration. And it just shows that our values are about equity, they're about safety, and building a better San Antonio for all of us, not just the few, but everybody in our community.
DeMonte.
Hey, Ananda. I know you you run all day long, every day. So same question I asked Danny is, I knew this, no matter what the outcome was, the work doesn't stop for y'all. What does that look like when you guys do get back to work? What does that look like? And also, because of the turnout, because of the way this one turned out, is there a talk about what we message, what's out in front, what's important? Like, could you talk a little bit about that like when you guys regroup, what does that look like, and what is that message going forward, or is it the same?
Yeah, I mean, it's still the same values, the same efforts, right? We had tens of thousands of with folks. And when we were able to break down the misinformation, the fear, the lies, right, and get through to people, 67% of the folks that we had conversations with were with us, meaning that San Antonians are ready. It's just that extra step of breaking through the barriers that keep folks, from voting, right, and breaking through these barriers of big moneyed interest. But we know that the folks of San Antonio are with us, and we just keep fighting and educating and bringing them with us so that we can win civil rights, right, in the next civil rights movement in San Antonio.
Thank you. Now, do you think by all of the issues being batched together hurt, or do you feel that that should be the strategy moving forward as well?
Yeah, we had conversations about the intersectionality of all these movements. You can't talk about criminal justice or public safety if you're not talking about racial justice. And because we're threatening doctors and patients with life in jail, you can't talk about it without reproductive justice. And folks really understood that. At the end of the day, right, our opposition was always going to find one piece or something to scare folks with, because that's how police unions operate.
Right.
And, they found the right thing to hit the nail on the head with this time, but we absolutely have to be talking to all San Antonians about all of these issues that are affecting all of our loved ones, and we will keep doing that.
Right. Thank you, Ananda.
All right, Kevin Wolf.
Yeah.
Ananda, just two quick pieces. DeMonte sort of stole one of mine. I thought from a strategy standpoint, sort of lumping all the things together was a danger. They do this in the legislature periodically. They're called Christmas tree bills. You start off with something that everybody really likes, and then you start to attach things to it that start to divide people. And so I think that might have hurt strategically. The other thing I wanted to ask you is that while this was brought to the city of San Antonio and city council members, the reality is that at that local government level, their ability to codify and actually do these kinds of things is very minimal compared to a state or federal piece. So what is your plan to, if you really want these things, that's where you really get the change made. And it's not as, I don't want to say it's easy, it's not as easy as getting, election or a petition signatures to have a local election. It's much more difficult to do that at the state level. And I'd like to hear what your thoughts are there.
I mean, we need to fight at all levels, whether it's local, it's state, or it's federal. Many transformative changes happen locally. San Antonio has been a beacon for civil rights for Texas and the nation and the entire South even for a long time now, right? We were the heart of the Mexican-American civil rights movement. We were one of the first to desegregate our schools in the entire country. This is just following that same path, because sometimes we have to start locally to protect ourselves from draconian governments and governments that are not for us. And we need to start locally and give that rubric and that pathway that is allowing these other candidates and these other folks that stand with us to get into those seats of power, right, and to be legislators for us. It's literal lives at stake. We have to do something. We are a home rule city, and we need to exercise that power as much as we can, because we have a state legislature that's not for us right now. And people are literally losing their lives, and we will always put people and their lives and their livelihoods ahead of money, power, and control.
Ananda, I'm a big fan of open debate, dialogue. Yeah. That's why we do the KSAT Q&A. I love the fact that we can bring differing views together and have a respectful conversation about it. So I just wanted to let you know I appreciate what you have brought to not only this proposition, but also Prop B, 2 years ago. So I want to make sure you hear that tonight in the midst of all this going on.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. The fight.
And I know that you and Danny Diaz probably have one thing in common. You're both really tired right now. So I appreciate that. Get some rest, and we'll talk to you soon.
Cool. Thanks, y'all. Appreciate it.
All right. Take care. Ananda Thomas with ACT for SA. All right. We've got the numbers from City Council District 10. Mark White, 61% of the vote right now. There were a lot of people that thought with the number of candidates there, that maybe this would be one that would go to a runoff.
Who were those people?
Some people.
Not here on this panel. The power panel did not think that.
The power panel, of course you guys didn't think that. I'm just saying some people might have thought that. Our Erica Hernandez is live with the Mark White campaign right now, and I believe she may have the candidate himself. Erica, they have to be thrilled with 61% of the vote right now.
They are thrilled, and as you can see behind me, they are already celebrating here for this District 10 win. We have Mark White with us right now. Mark, were you expecting these numbers, these early voting numbers, to just be so much in your favor?
Yeah, I was confident that our campaign had done the work, and as I walked the district over these past 3 months, I could feel the enthusiasm. I thought we had great momentum. District 10, I think, really shares my vision, faith, family, and freedom. That's what this district's about. That's what I'm about, and so I knew we'd have a good shot at this tonight.
Were you shocked at so much of the support and the endorsements that came your way as you were campaigning?
Well, as I told folks, I'd really been preparing for this. I didn't just decide I was going to do this overnight. For the past 5 or 6 years, really been working towards this goal. Been getting out there in the community, working in the neighborhoods, working on city boards to prepare myself for this moment. And I think it's because of that that we got so much support.
Now, the work is ahead, like you said. What's to come for District 10?
Yeah, the work really starts now. Crime is on the rise in this city, unfortunately. I want to get in there and find a way to address that, make this a safer city, a safer District 10. We've got to get economic development going in District 10. There's so many areas of the district that could use some new businesses and create new jobs for our district. And then infrastructure, you know, District 10's a little bit older. We got to get in there and refresh our infrastructure.
How are you and your family? I see your daughters are here with you. How does this whole campaign been for your family?
Yeah, it's, you know, my little girls and my wife and my mom, my dad, brother and sister. You know, this is why I did this in the first place. I'm so fortunate to have a strong family behind me that's always encouraged me and supported me. And again, District 10 is about neighborhoods. It's about families. And I'm looking forward to representing all of them.
Well, we'll let you enjoy your party now here, as it's now a celebration for District 10.
Thank you so much.
Steve, we're going to wrap it up here from District 10. As you see, the celebration is just beginning. Back to you, Steve.
Thank you, Erica. I know you can probably barely hear me among all the yelling, but thank you so much, and thank you to Mark White, and congratulations to him. Again, 61%, Joel Solis 13%, Robert Flores 7%. We've got our graphics ready to go, so let's quickly run through some of the numbers. Let's start with the mayor's race. We expected that Mayor Ron Nirenberg would win, but he has 60% of the vote right now. Christopher Schuchart with 23%, Gary Allen with 6%.
You got to think that that's against people who are coming out against Prop A, throwing 23% of the vote to Christopher Schuchart.
Yeah, you expect that number to go up for the mayor as the night goes on?
I mean,
60%.
Christopher who?
I mean, huh? Yeah, I mean, 23% is a lot.
I don't think that's enough. I think at least the two predictors on the power panel, since that if they were Ron Nirenberg, they wouldn't be happy with 60%. Am I correct, Kevin?
Would not be happy with 60%.
Yeah. So got to get to 70?
Look, I mean, let me say this. In politics, when you get 60%, that's 100%. Like in elections, right? You're not going to win 100% of anything. But I feel that, I mean, if you look at Ron's popularity during COVID,
yes,
right? This is with Brockhouse, all that stuff going on, right?
Yep.
Just has to sting a little bit, but you're not going to lose any sleep over it.
Can I make the case that the Ron supporters, the Ron Nirenberg supporters, knew he was going to win? They didn't need to go out. That this may not be a true reflection of his popularity because Prop A was driving so much of this, and those Prop A voters aren't necessarily Ron Nirenberg. The anti-Prop A voters aren't necessarily Ron Nirenberg voters.
I think there's some legitimacy in that.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too. That's a good point.
Yeah, I would give you that. I would also say we got a 3,600 undervote for mayor.
Yeah.
Yes.
That people were voting on Prop A and not
did not
voting
vote for mayor.
And so that's another something to think about.
I'm glad you're giving it to me because your eyes weren't giving it to me. Your eyes were telling me.
Well, I give that to Molly because I give that to Molly because
I'm just saying.
this is not Ron's first year, right? He's going in his last term. He's a well-known, popular mayor around the country
with hundreds of $600,000.
So you can't say people would go to the ballot and just not know who he is, right? And so that's a validity to those undervotes.
I have validity to mine.
Well, you gave it to me, so I'm just saying. All right, let's go to District 1 right now. Actually, Mayor Ron Nirenberg is speaking, or can we take that live?
Amidst all of those challenges, and I'm just so grateful that San Antonio voters continue to come out and support one another, place their faith in their neighbors, and rise above the political discord that we see all over the world, all over the country. San Antonio stands apart from that.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Enjoy your
Thank you, Tony. Good to see you. Thank you.
Hey Steve, it's Patty Santos here. The mayor has just arrived here at his watch party at the Friendly Spot. As you can see, he's coming in with a big smile, a lot of celebration going around. His wife carrying a sign that says 8. That means 8 years. But he has not officially spoken here yet. He's just kind of coming in, greeting folks, photo opportunity with them. But as you can hear the crowd, they're pretty excited about what they're seeing so far.
Patty, did you get any indication when the numbers came down? I mean, what was the reaction there when the first numbers came through?
That came down maybe 30 minutes after the polls closed, and so there was just a big cheer. But the crowd has gotten a lot bigger since then, so I can imagine there's a lot more excitement. We have the sheriff here, we have former councilwoman Shirley Gonzalez, a lot of friends, political friends that he's made here in the city. Mayor, how are you feeling tonight? We're live on.
I feel great. The city is a gift to the world, and it's very humbling to lead it. I'm just grateful to the voters of San Antonio for once again putting their trust and their faith in me to lead our city through an extraordinary time, a time of challenge and difficulty, but also one of great opportunity. And the city is on the right track, and I have no doubt in my mind that as our children begin to inherit this city, this is a moment in our history that will be seen as an inflection point where we began a process to become one of the best cities in America.
And so for their next and last term, what are your goals? What are your hope to accomplish?
My hope and my work for the last 10 years since being on city council and now as mayor has been to really make sure that we are living up to a promise that it doesn't matter who you are, where you live in this city, what circumstances you come from, that you will have an opportunity to thrive. That every family in San Antonio deserves an opportunity to thrive. And we are getting ever closer to realizing that vision. So my focus is going to be on continue to make sure that people have educational opportunities in this city, that they can get the skills and the training that they need to get good jobs, to break the cycles of poverty, that we continue to make sure that our neighborhoods are safe, that people feel secure and able to achieve their dreams in our city, and that it not only is a quality city, but it's also an affordable one that gives us a competitive advantage, and that San Antonio can be seen around the country and around the world as one of the unique and most culturally rich and collaborative cities in the country.
I know you've been campaigning really hard, so you're going to enjoy tonight, right?
Absolutely. It's a great day of celebration, and one where I also get to thank our community, thank my family, and really look forward to the next couple of years.
We're going to let you thank them. Thank you so much for stopping. As you heard, Steve, the mayor, pretty glad about the numbers that he is seeing here at the Friendly Spot. We're going to stay here and bring you his official speech coming up here shortly. We'll send it back to you for now.
All right, thank you, Patty. Yeah, you mentioned it got a lot more crowded there, and you could certainly tell the crowd showed up about the same time the mayor, it looked like 60% for Mayor Ron Nirenberg tonight. Let's go to District 1. This has been a race we knew would probably go to a runoff. Mario Bravo is the incumbent, but right now he is not winning. Sukar, who is Dr. Sukar, has 32% of the vote. Mario Bravo, the incumbent, with 26%, and Jeremy Roberts at 22%. We talked before Power Panel that the question to me was who was getting in the runoff with Bravo, but now there's still very much a possibility that the incumbent might not make the runoff. I mean, this is very close between these three.
It's within the margin of error. So after early vote, you want to see no more than a 4% margin on the points, right? You can make that up on election day, but it's tough.
Yeah, but are you surprised with the number that Sukar is putting up tonight, Molly?
No, I thought she would be in a runoff with Mario.
Me too.
I thought Suk was going to go with Mario to a runoff. I am shocked because of the way that voting goes. Typically, an incumbent with cash would be number one in a council district.
Yes.
And I think what this shows is that District 1 was unhappy overarchingly with how Mario Bravo had turned out in his first, because that's 52% of folks who said no thank you, right? So I do think everything that I saw from the Suk core campaign was ground game, ground game, ground game.
But this is also not your typical incumbent, Kevin. I'd make that point. This is a guy that got a no confidence vote by the city council. Yeah. This is a guy who's had issues not only with Anna Sandoval when she was on the council, but also with road construction along St. Mary's. I mean, there's been a number of things.
Yeah, all of those added up to that. I did not expect this. What I expected was to see those numbers, 32 maybe for Mario and 26 for Suk.
Yeah.
No. Because just those numbers right there, that's 54% that didn't vote for Mario Bravo today.
Right. Well, here's the thing. You got number one, our guy, Judge Nelson Wolff, endorsed Suk.
Yeah.
Right. So
I know that guy.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think you're safe. I think you're safe saying the power panel can call in our guy when one of them shares a last name with him. Yeah, I think that's probably all right.
Judge Nelson Wolff endorsed Suk. Number one. Number two, with the whole issue that's still overarching around male, female with Anna Sandoval, you get a female candidate in, right? It's like just this storm that's brewing that's really hurting Mario right now. And to all the points that Molly mentioned as well, you also have a great strategic thinker, Jennifer Longoria, who was Biden and Elizabeth Warren's state field director. So you have someone with that brain working on a municipal election that's helping her organize and make sure that, ground game is number one. It's 3-1 to anyone. If you focus on that, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be a formidable opponent if you focus on the ground, and it looks like that's what they did.
Well, but what will play out in the, you said that Mario Bravo had a huge money advantage in this entire thing.
Well,
but we haven't really. He has a money advantage. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
He had a lot of the neighborhood associations that were backing him.
Yeah.
So, I think we're going to see that probably play out in the runoff now. So the question is, does Sukar raise the money to match what Bravo's going to do, when we get to the runoff?
Yeah, she doesn't have as much money as Mario Bravo does, and Mario does have neighborhood associations in that's his bag, right?
Yes.
Is neighborhood associations. So I think what that means then, if you're a neighborhood association person, you don't need money, right? We don't need money to go towards neighborhood associations. That's the people who vote, right? So Suk really is going to have to rally the folks who've already come out for her to come back out for her.
Right.
Yeah.
And she's going to have to go after the folks that voted for Jeremy.
Also that, yes.
Absolutely. And if you're Mario Bravo, though, what are you feeling like tonight?
You're scared because the folks that voted for Jeremy voted against Mario because of his policies.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
And so that's a hard get for him.
Yes.
Okay? Suk, though she came out for Prop A, that's not going to make Jeremy supporters happy. She's going to have to figure out how to cross that bridge, but I think she's got a better chance of doing that than Mario does right now.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. I actually had, I had a legitimate question that I thought, it was not beyond the realm of possibility that Sukar could have finished third and not made the runoff coming into this. All three of these were very formidable candidates coming into tonight. I know we're waiting for our Lee Waldman to get a live report. I think we actually have her right now with Dr. Sukar. Lee Waldman, can you hear me?
The early Yep, I can hear you.
All right, I see you've got the candidate with you. She has to be very excited. Lee, I'm going to let you take it away.
Yeah, we actually just started meeting with Sukkur now, and so tell me, how are you feeling with these early election results coming in? You have a lead over Mario Bravo.
Yeah, so I'm really excited. Look at you. I'm really excited about the work that we have yet to come. We've done a lot to get to where we are right now, and I know there's a lot more work yet to come, and I am looking forward to what we can do together to represent District 1. Because what's evident is that folks in District 1 want change, and I would love to be that person to represent you, represent the voice of District 1, represent those individuals that don't feel like they've been heard, and represent the strong voters that we have that have showed what they really are looking for in city council leadership.
You know, according to some of your campaign staff, you were out working until the last second when polls were closing. Talk about those last second efforts.
Yeah, so that's why I was a little bit late running to my own election watch party, and I truly believe every vote counts. So, you know, I've knocked almost 4,000 doors in this campaign, and our campaign team knocked over 10,000. Because what I know is that to hear what voters truly want, you have to get in front of them, you have to hear them, and they have to be able to see me, see my passion, and see my desire for wanting to lead in this district. And so that's what I was doing. I went to a different poll site every hour today, and I was at SAC, and there was a few voters there whom I was talking to at the very end. Actually, at 7:50, there was one voter still debating how she wanted to go, and she was actually a Tobin Hill resident. And she was thinking, you know, I hear this every 2 years from every single councilwoman that comes. Oh, we're going to do better for you. And so I really had to tell her what I was going to do to build trust, to repair trust that has been broken, because that's what's happened. And so I wanted to make sure I did everything I could to win every single vote, because every vote counts.
Does this early lead feel like a confidence boost? Do you feel like this is a predictor for what's going to happen as those final results come in tonight?
So I'm an athlete. So everything I do comes down to sports analogies. And you could be winning at halftime and then lose the lead fourth quarter, right? A lot of great sports teams will let that know. So yes, this helps you going into halftime, but it's also a point where we need to stop and pause and reflect and wait to see how results pan out for the end of the day. And also think about what do we need to change for the second half, which we will absolutely do if we go into runoff and have the opportunity to do so.
Yeah, how would you approach that runoff if it were to come to that tonight?
A lot more of what we have been doing. So what I've learned is some previous council members told me the folks that knock on doors, they call it shoe leather wins races. And I'm like, well, I wear Nikes, but, you know, Nikes win races. And so that's what I will continue to do. I will continue to knock on doors. I will continue to talk to voters. And I will continue to modify what I've been wanting to propose for the city based on what voters tell me. If you look at the platform that I started with, I'm a public school educator. I have been for the last 15 years. And initially when I came into this race, I thought, oh, what if we created more collaboration? I was thinking very aspirationally. And what I've realized right now is that voters just want an improved quality of life. And why that matters is because when they have an improved quality of life, they can do much more for our community and for society. So I'll continue to evolve. I will continue to grow to make sure I'm doing everything I can to represent what I'm hearing from voters at doors.
Thank you so much. Sukkur, you're a candidate for District 1. We'll let you get back to your party here, meeting all of your guests. Thank you so much for your time.
One more thing. All of those that voted for me, thank you so much. If you're listening, I am so incredibly grateful for you already supporting me. And for those that didn't, I hope you will give me the chance to let me win you over. I totally believe that I can be the council candidate that will represent you, that you will be proud to have elected, and that the fresh leadership I will bring will be a strong asset to District 1. Thank you.
I appreciate you.
Thank you all for being here.
Absolutely. So, like I said, we're here at Sukkur's watch party here on election night. We were just at Mario Bravo's camp just a little bit ago, and he was still doing the same thing that Sukkur said she was doing, going out, knocking on doors for those last-minute votes before polls closed. So we'll check back in with that camp and some of the other opponents for District 1 race as the night goes on. But we'll send things back to you all in the studio.
Hey, Lee, can you hear me? I want to ask you a quick question here. What was the reaction there when when the numbers came across? I mean, were they surprised that they had 32% of the vote?
I don't think it was necessarily a surprise. When we spoke to some of her campaign staff before she got here, they said, we have a long night ahead of us and a long night of waiting and watching these numbers ahead of us. So it wasn't so much surprise, but it was more so wanting to dig in for the fight that they have ahead of them.
Lee Waldman, live from Dr. Suk Kaur's campaign, the early leader in District 1. Thank you. And let's go over those numbers again. By the way, Suk Kaur.
Suk Kaur.
Suk Kaur.
There you go.
I knew I was. Yes. Suk Kaur. It's a name we're going to have to all get to know after tonight.
Suk and look.
Suk.
Apple
And
core.
I think
Core.
Suk could run the tables if she wanted to.
Well, she said for a lot of us, that's the first time they've ever heard her. They've seen her signs.
Oh,
They know
sure.
what her platform is. They know what she stands for.
Yeah.
That was her introduction to a lot of us. In
I
a
also
lot of
think
ways.
she gets to breathe a little bit because she's
Yeah.
going to run off no matter what,
Right.
whether it's in the first place
Yeah.
or second. I think
Yeah.
she can breathe and enjoy her party.
Will you be surprised if Mario makes up the margin and actually wins?
Oh, that.
I'd be very surprised.
Oh yeah, I would be
Yeah.
surprised at that. Yes.
Again,
Interesting.
I think, guys, we have to remember, these are candidates, but these candidates have masterminds behind their whole
Yes.
their whole
Yeah.
entire operation, right?
Yeah.
They have a profile.
Spoken like a consultant.
Spoken like a true mastermind.
I mean, you guys know. I mean, these guys. Your team matters. The team you put together matters.
Absolutely. They would
Yeah.
all say the same thing, and also, we vote for the candidate.
Yes.
But we love the mastermind.
Well, and you mentioned something earlier. You have powerful people running.
This is what
Good,
I
well-qualified
think,
candidates
Yeah,
running.
this is such a
Absolutely.
strong.
The resume of all three
Yeah.
of
Yes.
these candidates is impressive.
It's good.
Right.
I mean, you
It's a
can't
strong
overlook what
race.
Jeremy
Had that
Roberts.
every
Yeah,
Right,
it's a strong
exactly.
race.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yes, I
All
agree.
Let's go through some of the numbers that we have now. That was District 1. Let's go to District 2 right now, which was also a bit of a surprise, I think, if we go to that number that we see. Maybe we can do that. Jalen McKee Rodriguez with the early lead there and actually looking like he will avoid a runoff.
Yeah.
58%. Denise Gutierrez, who has run numerous times, including for mayor, with 14%, and Carla Walker with 7%. So Jalen McKee Rodriguez avoiding a runoff. The big headline in District 2. Let's go to District 3 right now and see what's happening in that race.
2%
Not
off
expected
of
to be close, but you can see Phyllis Villagran with 52%, Aaron Gallegos Reed with 22%. So if you're an incumbent with 52%, you're a little nervous right now because you're avoiding a runoff, but just barely. So we're going to continue to watch this.
37%.
Well within the margin.
Right, you've got
37%
37% of people who voted against Phyllis Villagran. That's a little bit of a surprise tonight. Would you agree?
Yeah,
Yeah.
this could push, and that would make me nervous as an incumbent going in.
Yeah, again, these are just the early voting numbers.
Yeah.
Let's go to District 4 now and check out the early voting numbers from District 4.
Yeah, that's what you want to see.
Adriana Rocha
Right,
Garcia,
yes.
Yes.
That's what you wanna
75%
see.
of the vote to 25%. I don't think we've discussed this, Molly, that I think she's probably someone who's looking at the mayor's race in 2 years.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And if you're an incumbent, that's the
That's
kind of
what you
numbers you
want
want to see.
75%.
Yeah,
That's the
particularly if
numbers
you're
that
looking
you
for mayor.
guys particularly said you wanted to see from Mayor Ron
Let
Nirenberg.
me talk about this too. Notice they don't even have a photo for the opponent, right? So there's a lot
But
of
he got 25%.
What I'm saying, there's a lot of work being done throughout to even eliminate candidates, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so kudos to District 4, man. That's what you want to see.
Yeah.
That's how you get it done.
Yeah, District 5. Let's check out the numbers in District 5. Again, a lot of these we have not checked throughout the night.
There you
Terry
go.
Castillo, 63% to Rudy Lopez
Prop
is
A. For
31%. She was strongly in support of Prop A,
That's
and
right.
she is winning tonight. Jalen McKee Rodriguez, strongly in support of Prop A. He's winning tonight.
Yeah.
So, like you said, there's a little bit of a dichotomy here between what we're seeing with Prop A and what we're seeing with some of these city council.
Yeah, I mean,
When you look at the districts and the people they represent.
yeah, I
right?
think you're looking at younger people of color coming out to vote,
Yeah.
for the folks that they want in their districts.
I'm just excited I got to use dichotomy.
That was good. That was good.
It's in my thesaurus.
And you worked it
The
really
thesaurus
well.
of the day. And I used it properly. I
And
think
you
is,
did.
is
Used it
the
well.
biggest
You did.
surprise
That was
perhaps
well
for
done.
everyone on this panel.
That's
All right,
another
District 6. This is a little closer than a lot of people thought.
Yeah.
Melissa Cabello Haverda with 53% of the vote. Irina Rudolph with 35%. Chris Baker with 11%. Like I said, if you're an incumbent like Melissa is, you want to avoid a runoff. She's doing that. but it's still very close. And again, that's 46% of people who voted against her.
It's also, if you're thinking about this in terms of what happens in the next 2 years, and you're looking at like an Adriana Rocha Garcia with 75%, and you're looking at a Melissa Cabello Habitat at like 53%, that starts to be a little dicey for a 2 year from now run.
Because I think Haverda was another one that would be looking at mayor in 2 years.
Yes, I think so.
If you look just at the fundraising
Yep,
numbers.
I agree.
You got to take care of home. You can't
And
take
I
care
will
of
say,
home.
if you're looking at just the fundraising, Irina Rudolph actually did really, really well in District 6 for raising dollars.
Yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Cabello Haverda came out against
She did.
Prop
She
8.
did. Yep.
So I don't know if that's costing her anything in this
I think
district.
part of what you're also seeing in this district, it is the fastest growing district right now. And what you're seeing is it's changing the makeup of that district. And the two other individuals you see in there definitely are much further right than Melissa would be.
I mean, we're talking 151, 410 area where you see cranes all over the place. I mean, like you said.
So if you remember a few years ago when Ray Lopez was there, that place was blue.
Yeah, hard blue.
Yes.
Hard blue. And over at Brockhouse came in. Now you're starting to see that more of a 50-50 toss-up. And she's just become the, you're a council person and you want to boost economic development and growth. This has just happened to be her. You know what I mean? To Kevin's
yeah. All right, let's go through some more of the numbers now. I think we're at District 6. Is that where we're at? District 7, actually. This is a very close race. Marina Alarete Gavito was thought to be perhaps the favorite, perhaps would avoid a runoff. Does not look like it's going to happen. Dan Rossiter, actually, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe he was with Southwest Research and left his job there. He did. And is running.
He was also the literal first person to put his name on a council district race.
Yes, and then San Grace Martinez also there. Does this surprise you?
Yes.
It did surprise me, yeah.
Why?
Me too.
Marina's very well known. She's out there all the time. She has I'm a beneficiary of this, a family name of folks that have served in office, that type of thing. She has all the support. She, raised all the money. I did not expect a runoff in this one.
Yeah. Same. I'm like, yes.
I didn't either, but I mean, I think she wins the runoff.
Yeah.
You don't want to have to go.
Who's standing here right now predicted a runoff in this 7?
Are you going to tell us you did?
I did.
He's the only one.
Oh, that's right, you did.
He's the only one standing.
He said it. That's right.
1, 2, 7.
And you were
I was wrong on 2.
Wrong on District 2.
I was wrong on 2.
Yeah.
I was wrong on 2.
I would not have suspected this.
I thought maybe I'd have to go to more witnesses in the newsroom here.
Then they just laugh.
This is Manny Plies again. If you're an incumbent, this is what you want to do. 71% to his opponent. Again, this is another guy who I think has been setting up to run for mayor. I could argue for a couple of terms.
For at least 4 terms, he's been running for mayor.
Well, I mean, I think this sets the stage, right? You got Councilwoman Garcia.
Yeah.
Dr. Garcia. I mean.
Manny Plies.
Yeah, you're definitely setting the stage with incumbents going into a mayoral race. So then it becomes who's coming in out of who comes in out of the blue to sort of come in, and you're going to have name recognition on that one.
Can I make the argument that of those 3 that Manny may have the most name recognition?
I think so. I think that's fair.
I mean, he's stepped out on certain topics.
I think he's probably got the most name recognition. He's been on council. This will be his 4th term. He's definitely he is not one to shy away from a microphone.
No.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate.
Right.
Not that Adriana Rocha Garcia or Melissa
she's out there too.
I mean, they've all been out there and they're all very vocal, and I think all of them have aspirations to become the next mayor of the city of San Antonio.
Yeah, I'm mostly saying I think also District 8 has generally a higher voter turnout, so you've got more people that are going in there. So an incumbent from District 4 has a lower voter turnout and is really going to have to overcome figuring out how to get. But if you start to look at all of those put together, like a district, if you look at outside of 410 and in the middle and down, you've got a pretty interesting playground, I think, for some incumbents going for mayor.
Yeah, let's check out district. Oh, go ahead.
Well, unless there's a dark horse that jumps out there.
That's why.
Well,
Yeah,
and
right.
you never. I mean, there could be somebody from. I fully expect somebody from the business community to come forward.
Yeah.
I've heard the name Eddie Alderete. Gordon Hartman always seems to be rumored as someone when he's not running the finance committee as he has for the last 4 years.
I
Ray
wish.
Saldana is another name out there.
I mean,
I'm just saying.
No,
I'm just saying.
Look at you, Steve, trying to mix it up already, man.
it's already 2025 in his brain.
Do you not know what I do for a living? All right, City Council District number 2. Now number 9, excuse me. There were people who tried to convince me that Jarrett Lippman would take John Courage to a runoff.
Yeah.
Does not appear as if that's going to happen. And John Courage in a district that is more Republican than Democrat just keeps getting it done.
Well, and I also think in this particular one, right, like he didn't even vote to put the proposition on the actual chart. Like he came out so far and so hard against.
Did he walk out?
He walked out. I'm like he I think hedged his political bets on this one.
Yeah.
For sure.
And it's paying off.
Yeah.
It's paying off.
Because he's in District 9. Yeah.
Are you surprised that John Courage, I mean, it was a surprise he won, and then he just keeps getting elected, and this is it. He will be he'll serve the full 8 years.
John Courage is your neighbor, right?
Yes.
He's your neighbor.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
he's Mr. Rogers.
You know what?
It's funny you mentioned that because last time I saw him, it was like at Lowe's or Home Depot looking at lawnmowers.
Yeah. Well,
right.
Well, to Kevin's point, John Courage sticks to the basics.
Yeah.
Fix my streets, fix my potholes, answer your phone when I call you. He's doing what every voter wants you to do. Like he's not going to be too far out there or too far on the
It
side.
also doesn't hurt to be in District 9 and have the last name Courage. That's all. I'm just.
Facts.
I'm
You
just
couldn't
saying a
ask for a better
conservative
political
Courage,
name.
right? I'm like, if you're in a conservative district and your last name is Courage, that's the route.
So, do you think this is it for John Courage? Because he's run for things before he ran for city
That's
council.
right.
Oh yeah, he was retired. He's a teacher. He's retired.
Borderline
right?
perennial,
Yes.
perennial candidate.
I don't think he goes past this.
You don't think he runs for mayor?
No.
I mean, if he might, and also, no.
So the headline would be Courage only goes so far. Is that what it would be?
He got you.
That was the best thing that you said tonight.
I won't take
Better
it.
than dichotomy?
I won't take
That's the
anything
best
off
thing
of
you
Kevin,
said
but
tonight.
if he
Wow.
decides to run for mayor,
Somebody's
I
a
would
little
be
bitter
shocked.
about my predictions being right.
I would
hear that.
I would be surprised. I'd be surprised if he did.
You'll be surprised if he runs for mayor.
I would be so shocked, yeah.
All right, let's go to District 10 right now. And we talked to Mark White a little bit earlier in this live stream, 61%. No doubt here. And I think, Molly, you had some interesting numbers when it comes to Mark White and fundraising.
Yeah, I mean, Mark White had 98% of the dollars raised in District 10.
Yeah.
Like, every past District 10 council member that lives in the district still, I think with the exception of Perry, said vote for that guy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm like,
Even Perry eventually came out.
Did he count? Okay.
Yeah, and I'm told that, and somebody just told me that Clayton Perry actually has showed up to his party.
Yeah, I mean, this was like basically the anointed District 10 guy.
Here's what you've seen in District 10 since Gallagher, or since before that. District 10 always knows who the next council person is going to be.
Yeah.
The succession planning has been spot on, and that's why District 10 has better infrastructure. That's why they have better things. That's why the district is cleaner. Obviously, they deal with crime like most folks do, but this is what you want to see: is the person we have in the queue
Go out and find good people to run.
They come up and bat. Now, what I do like about Mark White, I don't think he's as far right as Perry, and I like that he's one of Joe Strauss's guys.
Yeah.
I love that.
The Joe Strauss camp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We interviewed Joe Strauss. We talked about grooming those next leaders, right? And you want somebody, we could make this left and right all day, but you want somebody to be a bridge builder. You want somebody that can come to the table, talk about the issues, give or take on both sides, and move forward to help. But I'm interested to see what Mark's going to do. I think this more of a what happened to Clayton Perry versus really kind of what's going to be interesting for him is if an opponent comes out that's formidable against him, let's see where you stand up then, right?
Right.
Because this is, this is kind of a special case here.
Though with 61% for a guy who had very little name recognition before he got into this race, I mean, that's impressive.
This was picked at Club Duro.
By the way, I also.
But not in jeans. You can't be in jeans.
Am I lying?
No, it's not. You're not.
I'm wearing jeans.
You can wear jeans here, just not at Club Duro.
By the way, I also want to clarify. You said when you said Gallagher,
Or the barn door.
it was when you said Gallagher, you were talking about former Councilman Mike Gallagher, not comedian Gallagher.
Different.
With the
water.
Sledge-o-matic. Just want to clarify because I know people are probably. Are you going to hand me something, Andrew?
Man, this is real.
Yeah. More people voted in the Prop A election than voted for mayor. That's what you said.
I have said that.
Yes. Well,
it's a Garrett Berger tweet. I don't know if Molly tweeted it, so I don't know.
I didn't tweet it.
But she said it.
It wasn't bad. I said it, and that's how. I just tell Garrett he's welcome.
Well, and that's no surprise, is it? I mean, we knew that would be the driver of people today.
It is showing us, right, that this is the kind of thing that is driving people to come out and vote, which should be a conversation from the dais as well.
Yes, absolutely, and I think we're going to get those numbers. 74-26, still early vote. Am I the only one that's a little surprised that we're almost an hour and a half?
Yes.
With the polls closed, and we still
I'm like,
only have
where's
early
the
voting.
stuff?
It's because I'm off of the court now. I got no control.
I know. What's
I can't call Jackie.
You don't know any. I mean, you can't call. I mean, yeah.
Well, let me tell you this: Jackie Callanan is a rock star, man.
Yes, she is.
I mean, they have a small staff. I think it's like 5 of them.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then
Is it even 5?
Yeah, and then they bring in, they hire people, but I mean, the sheer amount of work they have to do with just maybe 4 or 5 of them. I mean, big shout out to Jackie Callanan and Bear Elections. What a tremendous job they do. So just wanted to plug that.
Okay.
What we're witnessing right now is DeMonte's running for office.
I know. Wow.
I would like to thank the masterminds, and I'd like to thank the.
Jackie, if you have a say in the next elections administrator, I think DeMonte just put his name in.
Man, DeMonte.
Yeah. Wow.
He was running just then.
Yeah, he was. All right. So
I was looking up. I thought about SAISD. I realize it's not the sexy city council. I'm only mentioning it because of Patty Radel leaving.
let me hold you right now because Mayor Ron Nurnberg's speaking.
Oh, got it.
Let's go to his acceptance
There are
speech.
2 constituents that, unfortunately for you, are most important for me. And I want to thank the love of my life, Erica Mosford, who continues to keep my feet on the ground, who continues to be my inspiration. And then my son Jonah, who continues to be my true north for public service. My report card won't come in until he's my age, and I believe that. And finally, I also want to thank the best city staff in the history of San Antonio. Thank you to all my city staff. And then let's give it up for all my family who's here from San Antonio and Austin to enjoy this picture. My mom, my father Ken, my stepmother Carol, my sister Heather, my new brother-in-law Nick, my bro Mark, my brother-in-law James, my stepsister Anna, and all of our kids and nieces and nephews that are all here today.
And Jamie.
And Jamie, my sister-in-law. Look, you all had faith in me when I asked you to trust me that I would make you proud. I hope I have done that. But I'm going to continue to work my tail off for the next 2 years. We've made some good progress on housing, making sure that people have opportunities for education. We've got the chancellor of the Alamo College's district here. Every single Bexar County high school student has a chance to attend college for free. We're building a new terminal at the airport. And hey guys, did you know this? Mass transit is finally on its way to San Antonio. But we know, I know you know, we have a lot of work left to do. So let's keep having faith in each other. Let's keep standing for each other. Let's keep celebrating what makes San Antonio blessed and unique and strong, our diversity. And let's go keep working to make sure San Antonio is an even better place for our children and grandchildren. Thank you so much for being here. God bless you. 2 more years. 2 more years.
All right, that was San Antonio Mayor Ron Nirenberg. You see hugging his son and his wife, who were very emotional during that speech there. The mayor was 61% of the vote. I know we're getting some new numbers in, so we're going to go back through the numbers. But I was struck by how emotional his son and his wife were with that speech. Does that tell you anything?
I mean, if you're in the moment, yeah. I mean, that's your significant other. You care
but
about
I
that person.
I don't remember them being that emotional in the other elections.
I mean, this is his last run for mayor. Yeah, last run. His last
run as mayor.
His last run for a nonpartisan election.
Yes.
Well, having been down that road before, I've been the kid.
Yes.
Okay, and I know exactly how his wife and his son are feeling. At this point in time, he's in the last hurrah. It doesn't mean he can't go on and do something else, but this is the only for sure thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay?
Yes,
and,
absolutely.
You know, and so there's it pulls at the heartstrings.
I would also assume, like, we've watched Jonah grow up.
Yes.
And so Erica's standing next to her kid.
I was
who's
thinking
now
the same
so,
exact thing. I was like, we've watched this kid grow up.
He's like a man dude now. Like, he's not like a big, you know what I mean?
Yes,
like,
absolutely.
So I think there's that too, right?
And if you saw the numbers, 13% reporting now, we do have some day of. So he's notched up to 61%. I also want to mention quickly, Comal ISD on the growth bond, it passed. The stadium bond in Comal is failing. The technology is passing. In Alamo Heights, all of theirs so far are passing. And you wanted to mention something about SAISD.
I just was thinking about how Patty Radel went from city council district into serving on the school board. She was like, it's time for me to go. I need to retire and run the inner city development. And so her seat was up today, and I just, as a nod to Patty Radel, who has given so much to this community.
Yes.
Her seat's up, and that's it.
I think that
was it. Yeah.
And such a servant, though.
Man, that woman.
To not only the neighborhood on the west side, but also just the community.
The community at all. Like, she just believes in the dignity of human beings.
All right, let's go through the numbers again right now. 13%, not a lot of change here. Sook, Core. I'm looking at Molly to make sure I said that right. 34%, Mario Bravo 26%, Jeremy Roberts 22%. Not seeing a lot of change in these numbers. So, still very good news for Dr. Core. All right, Jayla McKee Rodriguez, 57%, Denise Gutierrez, 14%, Rose Requinez Hill at 7%. That's very good news. This was a surprise for me that this wasn't going to a runoff, just for the fact that they had 10 different candidates that were running for District 2. And this is also history for Jayla McKee Rodriguez, because they have not sent a city council person back to city council. They have not reelected a city council person in 10 years.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's a big thing for District 2. All right, let's go to District 3 right now. 52% for Phyllis Villagrán. This is, again, one of those races we're watching because you need to get more than 50% to go to a runoff, or to avoid a runoff. And right now, Phyllis Villagrán, incumbent, her sister, very popular, also longtime city council person in District 3. She only has 52% of the vote right now. This is going to be worth watching as the evening goes on, correct?
If you look at financials too, there was really nothing happening. And then in this last one, she grabbed some cash. Phyllis Villagrán did. So before that, it was sort of like, hey, what's happening over there? And it wasn't until this very last financial report that we saw her put some numbers up.
Yeah. All right, let's go to District 4 right now. And we can see in District 4, Adriana Rocha Garcia, 75% of the vote, dominating this race. And like we said, we fully expect, when you look at the fundraising numbers, that she will be a candidate for mayor come 2 years from now. Let's go to District 5 right now. This is another one that you're seeing an incumbent being very strong. Terry Castillo, 63%. She was kind of the surprise candidate 2 years ago when she won her first term.
And this is a rematch, no?
I believe it's a
right?
rematch
Rudy
between.
Lopez, they went into a runoff
They had
last
a runoff,
time.
right,
so
2 years ago. So she's
like,
showing.
it's done.
She's showing that they're
She's
proving what she's
established,
doing
for
there. All right,
sure.
let's go to District 6 right now.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. And Melissa Cabello Haverda, 54%. Again, we said that this is where you're getting a little nervous, that maybe you're heading for a runoff, but it does appear like she's strengthening her numbers. She went up a few points.
Yeah.
Looks like she will be avoiding a runoff, in just a few weeks. Let's go to District 7 right now. And as we take a look at those numbers, this is maybe a little bit of a surprise that this is heading to a runoff, but it does look like Dan Rossiter and Marina Alderete Gavido will be heading for a runoff. Let's go to District 8.
That's like for full base, like insider baseball, that's like LSA versus LSA. Like leadership San Antonio versus leadership San Antonio.
Interesting. I didn't know Dan Rossiter was a San Antonio.
A more recent one, I think.
Yeah, so they're going to split the LSA vote.
They are. And those are all insider baseball. It's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, 23.
I mean,
I didn't.
did you do LSA?
No.
Did you do?
I did.
You're 43. That's what I thought you said.
2018.
You did it?
I'm a lot.
He's like, I'm number 7.
Did you do LSA? Yes. Okay, that's all you have to answer. You don't have to give me what number. Number 0.
Well, that would be bad. People already have a profile like Molly. She didn't need that.
City Council District 8, 71% for Manny Pelaez. Again, I believe he will also be running for mayor in a couple years. John Courage, 64%. Very encouraging numbers.
You watch that guy Jared 2 years from now, though.
But do you think this is more Jarrett Lippman setting up for the next time?
Yeah, he's trying to get
his name out there.
say hi.
You know, 27% of the vote. That's impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah. And really,
take it first time.
Well, and that's also,
absolutely.
again, District 9 is always going to have one of the highest turnouts in the city.
Yep.
They can sway one way or the other, right, if they really wanted to. So him showing 27% with 5,000 votes.
Yeah.
He's putting his name out for next time.
All right, and City Council District number 10, right now you can see 61% for Mark White with 13% reporting it. His numbers are just very impressive when you look at those numbers tonight. And again, if we go back to Prop A, 74% the last time we checked in,
74,
and 73%, 27 right now. Prop A will be going down. There's already been some concession speeches and some victory declarations by the business community as well as the San Antonio Police Officers Association. So I think most of these numbers are set in stone at this point. So I'm going to kind of say we should wrap this up.
Yeah.
You got anybody who wants to hang around? I mean, I'd love to hang out with you guys all the time, but you know.
I got to say something that Molly just brought up.
Yeah.
That's really good. You look at District 9.
Yeah.
And the number of votes.
Yep.
It's going to be north of 20,000.
Yes.
You compare that to a District 4
Right.
at 4,000.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah, it matters.
It does matter. It does matter.
And that's what you see in Prop A too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I want to give each of the members of the power panel a chance to give their closing thoughts here as we wrap up this live stream portion. And I'll start with you, Molly.
Oh man, I don't know. I think that this is the final term for several council members. They're going to be voting on a $4.3 billion budget. We're going to have to talk, because we've already heard it, about Eric Walsh wanting to increase the budget for our police. That's going to happen. We'll maybe see some new folks we for sure will see some new folks on the dais. And I think the conversation now is, where do we go from here? What are the policies that we're trying to pass? How are we using the budget to really do infrastructure work, see where we're setting ourselves up for in 2025? Our community is only growing. So yeah, I mean, I think the runoff is going to be an interesting one to pay attention to. And that's the only other thing I would say is money talks.
Yeah.
In this one, money talks hard.
Especially with Proposition A.
Yeah, I think in that case, if you're spending $2 million in a municipal election, man, that's hard to overcome. And I'm like, what are we spending $2 million on in the next one? If that's where we're going, and that's a lot of cash rolled into our municipal election.
Yeah, Kevin.
First,
Steve, thanks for doing this. This is a lot of fun for us, and we really appreciate it.
Goobers.
Exactly.
We're just like, can we talk about the election, please?
Yeah. To some of the points that Molly just made, look, there's some big stuff coming up. Okay, we mentioned that there's going to be people starting to vie for the next mayor piece because that's going to be in 2 years. But over that same time frame, you may have another charter election. There's been talk about doing stuff with the city manager. There's ongoing issues. CPS going to have to be looking at new rate hikes. I mean, these are big things that are really going to be impactful to this community with quite a number of new council members.
Yeah.
So the next 2 years are really important.
DeMonte.
I think my colleagues kind of summed it up, but what I would say is I just hope no matter what happens is that we all understand that we have more in common than we don't.
Yes.
And we find ways to work together when we can, because at the end of the day, it's us taxpayers who have to deal or suffer with the policies that have been made, right? Policies impact people, and just be mindful of that.
Yes.
I wish we can get back to more of an accountability conversation. I think this, they had so much momentum coming off of Prop B. I was really hoping to see them build on that this time. I feel like we took a couple steps back. I understand them. I just wish we get more back to that conversation because I feel it resonates with people a little bit more.
Well, and it's interesting you bring that up because I think that's one of the things we learned back when we were doing the Bear Facts polls.
Yes.
Was that you can be in favor of the San Antonio Police Department and police officers, but still want accountability. I mean, one thing is not exclusive of the other.
Absolutely, but so you also saw. Remember, we had those multiple votes with the aquifer. I mean, with the city manager,
yes.
right?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Some of these could have passed if they separated them, right? Some of them could have passed, some of them would have failed, but at least you would have had something, right?
Well, it's interesting you brought up city manager because there's a decision that's going to have to be made on Eric Walsh coming up because he's going to serve the maximum amount of years that he can serve under the current city charter.
Right.
So I think there's going to be an effort to change that charter in
we've
months
already
to
heard
come.
that. Yeah.
So does that have a chance to pass? I think it does with Eric Walsh. I think that was an anti-Cheryl Scully.
Yeah, but it was a
proposition.
60% anti.
It was.
I mean, that's a lot of
it'll be
people
interesting
against.
to see.
A lot of it will depend on how you structure it, just like it did with Prop A
Because I
here.
think it's the same thing. You spend that money, you control the narrative, and that's what happens.
I do want to say one more thing. I know we're like going off the air. Two things. One, our voter turnout was not nearly as abysmal as every person was like, the voter turnout wasn't nearly as abysmal, right? And we had Fiesta going on, which we did not have when we had 17.6% in 2021. And number two, I am desperately hoping that our city council and city government understands the power that it has locally, particularly when we're seeing bills being pushed through at the state level that will absolutely influence what happens at our local level. That's all.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Appreciate
you,
your
Steve.
time. Thank you for joining us on the
we
live
appreciate y'all.
stream. For all of us here at KSAT 12 and the Power Panel, have a great night.